A'udzubillahiminasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Our respected panelists for this session, Miss Elvina Irohayu. We have here Miss Devi Surati. Miss Avina is the chairman for the Indonesia Halal Inspection Body Association. And then we have Miss Devi, who is the founder and CEO of Down Horizon Private Limited Singapore. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Good morning to everyone in Mecca, even in Turkey, and good evening to those who are in Malaysia, Singapore, Asia side, Indonesia. Yeah, inshallah, I'm very happy to see all of us today. We hope to see in very fruitful, inshallah, discussions with our panelists on MSME or micro, small, medium entrepreneurship perspective. So, without further ado, we shall start with a presentation from Ms. Avina on the title Indonesia's MSME Perspective, Building a Sustainable Halal Business Ecosystem. The floor is yours, Ms. Avina.
I cannot sharing. I said
Yes,
sharing.
you're
I mean,
supposed
this I cannot share my presentation here.
oh,
Because,
you can't?
yeah.
Inshallah, let's meet.
No,
Let's
I mean, because I cannot share. Okay, I try again. Okay, now.
uh, uh, so you have around 15 minutes or to 20 minutes to present, and we will have the Q&A session. If you have, or we can have at the end of the session for the whole panelists. Is that okay, Miss Devi?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. Okay, Miss Avina, we can see your slides.
Sorry,
It's on the
sorry,
screen
not
now.
this one. Sorry, not this one. Sorry,
Oh, not this one.
sorry for that. Can you see now?
Yes, maybe you can put on the slide. Yes, on the presentation mode. Yes, lovely. Okay. You may start now, Miss Avina.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Miss Moderator. Alhamdulillah, I'm honored to be in this meeting, in the webinar, to share to all of you regarding Indonesian MSME perspective in building a sustainable halal business ecosystem. For the moment, I'm currently as a chairman of Halal Inspection Body Association of Indonesia, or we call ALPI in Indonesia. For the actually, my term as a chairman was supposed to end this mid March, but almost all the ALPI member have requested me to continue leading this organization. Yeah, this
Subhanallah.
association.
Congratulations.
And then beside the chairman of the ALPI, I'm also as the deputy director of Halal Inspection Body of Halalan Toiban Muhammadiyah. So I'm part of Muhammadiyah actually. And in this, before I start, I explain more regarding my presentation, I would like to let you know maybe in this the person here, maybe may not know about Indonesian. Yeah. So here Indonesian, yeah, and the distribution of population in my country. Actually, we have big six island in Indonesia. Sumatra, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Maluku, Jawa, and also here Maluku, Papua. And you see here the most density of population are in Java, the place that I live now. I live in Bogor actually. And then for the most Muslim population are in Sumatra here. And actually, especially in Aceh, yeah, the place that I was born. And why Indonesian as the attractive to the halal industry market? Because maybe we have the three largest group of Indonesian population. Yeah, here we have the Generation X. Yeah, almost 22%, and I'm in this group. And then also the millennial here this almost 26%, and also the Z generation, this almost 28%. So for this reason, this more than 70%. It is our three largest group of Indonesian population that we know they can be as the core driver of the demand for the halal Islamic economic product and services, including halal. And since the 2014, when the halal product assurance law enacted, the scheme of halal certification in Indonesia is changing. Yeah, now we have the authority, the government authority is BPJPH. Yeah, they actually in the halal certification scheme we have two scheme here: the regular and the self-declare. So the regular, it is done by the LPH, halal inspection body. And for the self-declare, we have this LP3H. I will explain later what in English LP3H, because I'm not memorize this in English about the LP3H, but in Indonesia this lembaga pemeriksaan lembaga. Oh, I forgot. This is regarding the for the lembaga for the doing the self-declare with the verificator, they call as the P3H. Yeah, so there are two schemes in Indonesia halal certification right now under BPJPH. And now BPJPH, before BPJPH under the ministry, religious minister, but now with the new system, new president, the BPJPH directly under our new president. And here's the Indonesian halal certification for the regular. So actually there are three entities here to serve the food business operator. So BPJPH itself doing the registration and then issued the halal certificate. Yeah. And for the LPH, they will do the activity of auditing since from the start from the document review until they issued the report of halal audit and then deliver to the fatwa committee of MUI. So MUI will decide the status of the fatwa. Yeah. From without the fatwa, so BPJPH will not issue the certificate. Yeah, of course, the establishment of the LPH based on the some regulation and also some law and government regulation. Also, our system accredited based on the we call, because this already adopted as our Indonesian standard, so we call as the SNI ISO 17065, yeah, regarding the product certification. This is just a few for the new certification process regular, yeah. So all the food business operator will register through SiHalal, yeah, because without register to SiHalal, so they cannot proceed the certification process, and then the BPJPH will check and also will determine how many categorize, because this the consequence of the categorize this to the how much the rupiah that they have to pay to the government. Yeah, we call here BLU. Yeah, and then after that the company or the FBO will check, will select the SIB, Halal Inspection Body, and then comes to the LPH system, and the LPH will perform the audit until issued the report of halal audit and sent to MUI, yeah, and then CC to the BPJPH. And based on the MUI decision regarding the status of the product, so BPJPH will issue the halal certificate. Same with the self-declare, but here, yeah, here the actors doing the self-declare is not LPH, but the LP3H here, the Product Process Assistance Institution. So this must be the organization, Islamic organization, yeah. And then also the micro, especially micro organization, the enterprises. I mean, even though the ultra micro enterprises will select the LP3H and also the product process companion, or we call it as the P3H, according to the region of the FBO. Yeah, so they cannot choose or select any LP3H or a P3H. Yeah, and then the product process companion or P3H, we call in Indonesia words. So they will evaluate, they do the verification, and then bring to the committee. This different committee as MUI. So the committee belongs to BPJPH. So based on this decision of committee, BPJPH will issue the halal certificate. And here, the actor of Indonesia halal certification right now, beside BPJPH and MUI. So right now we have the halal inspection body 86, yeah, 86 halal inspection body along Indonesia, across Indonesia, yeah, with the status, the 16 prime status, so they can do the audit nationally and internationally. But for the primary status, they can only do the audit in their region, yeah. And fortunately, Muhammadiyah already in the prime status. And also we have registered halal certified auditors, yeah, 1,348. So you can imagine we have many halal auditors in Indonesia right now. And even though we have already trained auditor, but it is not registered to BPJPH system, we have already now have the 2,400 and 2,500 trained auditors. And for the another scheme, the self-declared scheme. So actually the organization, yeah, this Islamic Mass Organization will help as the Halal Product Process Assistance Institution. We have the LP3H. This is the last data that I took from the system. I mean, I this is with the help of personnel in BPJPH. I got this data, the very, very updated data. This 299. And for the halal product process companion, or we call in Indonesia estimate of P3H, this 100,000 person. Yeah. So this body and also the person who doing now the halal certification in Indonesia. And here the picture of the Indonesian MSME. Yeah, this is from the Minister of UMKM, we call in Indonesia. If you seen here from this picture, so the most we have micro, this almost 100, yeah, 99%, and followed by the small industry, small enterprises, yeah, around 0.3%, and then for the medium enterprises, this 0.06, and then for the large enterprises, only 0.01%. Yeah, and before the job creation law enacted, actually we have 4 group for the enterprises, the large enterprises, and the medium. Yeah, this is of course with the business capital, excluding the land and building. So this with the rupiah. Yeah, but now with the new system, so we have actually now 2 category for these enterprises. Only non we call this non MSME and with MSME. Yeah, I mean micro small enterprises and non micro small enterprises. So non micro small enterprises, this medium and large enterprises. The difference here, because in the process for the halal certification, so they have difference to pay to the government regarding BLU. Yeah, the payment for the government. Yeah, for the UMK, this or micro small enterprises, this fair shape, yeah, around 300 rupiah, 300,000 rupiah, I mean. But for the medium and the large, this around 5 million and 12 million and 500 per category product. Yeah. And here the data, this halal certified product with the enterprises. Yeah. If you see in the data here, so until now, yeah, until actually this the law this effective in 2019. Yeah. So right now it's already 6 year. Yeah, 6 year. Yeah, 6 year, almost 6 year. So we have here for the product that have already certificate, this 5.9 million, yeah, from the 1.500 thousand business entities. With this the detail with the large enterprises, there's around 5,000, and medium enterprises 1,300, and also small enterprises 45,000, and with the micro enterprises 1.5 million. Yeah. And then when we see here with the LPH and also the number of our MSME, yeah, because you know the data that we have for the MSME, of course, this is not all for the food, but also for non-food. But unfortunately, I couldn't I mean, I couldn't have the precise data, how many percent food enterprises and non-food. Yeah. So I just make an assumption here, 70% of the total, it is from the F&B industry. Yeah. So based on this assumption, I got the percentage of the halal certified MSME. Yeah. So for the medium, this is I think for medium this kind of anomaly. Yeah, because it's also small. And for the small here, small enterprises, 33%, and for micro, 3.4%. But for large enterprises, of course, this almost 100, because I think we already know they have many access. Yeah, they have many. I mean, they already established. Yeah. And then this is just to inform you, the most 5 certified halal product in Indonesia. Actually, this bakery product and snack here. This is in Indonesia penyediaan makanan dan minuman dengan pengolahan. So that means it's kind of restaurant. Yeah. So this is the highest one, and this is beverage, and also cerealia and cerealia product. And when we compare the data from statistic, this the another authority, yeah, Pusat Statistik Indonesia, Badan Statistik Indonesia. So without regardless with the scale, yeah, this with they have actually the restaurant or here like rumah makan, catering, yeah. And then they have actually 4 million 800 something. Yeah. And then with this, if we compare with the data before, so from 4 million, only 28.8% that already certified. Yeah. And here also the slaughterhouse and the animal slaughtering places. So maybe, I don't know, maybe this case only in Indonesia, this happened in Indonesia. Yeah, actually slaughterhouses and animal slaughtering places is quite different. Yeah, because we call RPH, yeah, slaughterhouses is official slaughterhouses inspected by our agriculture authority. Yeah, we call Kesmafed. Yeah, and then after they inspect, they will issue the number, the control number, yeah, veterinary control number, or we call NKV. Yeah, this is, of course, this is as the official halal slaughterhouses, yeah, animal slaughterhouses. But for the animal slaughtering places, this we call TPH. So this actually refer to community on slaughtering places that operate without NKV registration. Yeah, but to be honest, this TPH, yeah, for the moment, help for the micro small enterprises in halal certification process. Yeah, even though they have no NKV. And also in BPJPH, during the registration for the enterprises, the NKV also is not required. So that's why TPH or animal slaughtering places is common now in Indonesia, even though from other authority perspective is not official. Yeah, or is illegal. Yeah. And here the data from agriculture agency, the number of this RPH, this for ruminants, and for the RPU, this is for the poultry. So they have here 1,686. And from the BPJPH data, the halal certified these slaughterhouses or animal slaughtering places, this 200. And then from the data also from agriculture agency, that the slaughterhouse that already got the NKV, this only less than the slaughterhouse that they own. Yeah. And you know, because the meat is very critical in halal perspective, and also it is pretty much used for the micro small enterprises. Yeah, and then it is one of difficulties for micro small enterprises during the process of halal certification. And here, I just want to highlight why the micro enterprises have very low percentage. Yeah, even though for the micro enterprises, the number of certificate also combined with the regular and also with the self declare. Yeah. Here, I just want to let you know also in Indonesia, we have already Indonesia Halal Industry Master Plan. And actually, the halal assurance product based on certification, they apply for the halal assurance product only based on certification and traceability. Yeah. So I think it very challenging for the micro small enterprises if they doing the halal product assurance, yeah, their product based on certification, because we know for the certification process there is no double standard for the company or for the food business operator. So there is no I mean, if they have to submit or they have to provide the halal certificate, so they have to. Yeah, so there is no discrimination among the enterprises when the halal product assurance based on the certification. And this is, as we common know, that this is the problem with the MSE. Yeah, so this is micro small. Yeah, financial constraint, lack of technology infrastructure, complexity of supply chains. Yeah, limited access and information to halal ingredients. Yeah, I will show some of example that I took from some area in Indonesia. And also here the documentation and record keeping. So as we know, the traceability will be exist if they will do well documented documentation and record keeping. Without this, so the traceability will miss. Yeah. So this is just example. This the picture I took in the very east of Indonesia in Jayapura. You know, in Jayapura, the Irian Jaya. It's very nice place, to be honest. So I took this picture. Yeah. So you can see here some prepacked ingredients. Yeah. At the traditional toko. So they don't have the information on their packaging. Yeah. So they if people want to buy, so they will ask what this product. Yeah. This is just example. So with this kind of picture, then how when we do the certification, yeah, so we have to ask them for fully information, to have the complete information. But of course the micros the person who held this business don't know where. They just know this is for the emulsifier, for example, but they don't know from where this product, which company, which location of the company, because there is no information. And also here, yeah, this is in Bogor, in my places, yeah, in my place. So I'm very surprised when I saw it. This is to make this cake, this kind of emulsifier, and there is no information, yeah, that inform to the consumer who buy this product. So we do hope what we, I mean, the micro small enterprises will success to implement the halal product assurance as long as they easy to have the material that meet the halal, and also food safety is very important. Yeah. So the important things for them is availability and affordability in minimum quantity and price. Yeah, because of course, because they produce small quantity product also, so they don't need to buy a huge material. Yeah, for example, like when we want to buy flavor, we have to buy in 25 kg packaging, so it is not possible for them. So they want to they only need a small pack of the material. So for this reason, how we provide to them the minimum quantity, and of course with the also with the affordability in the price. And also regarding the halal production process, yeah. For example, here, maybe the meatball, we call here in Indonesia, too many, the people, especially in my place now, they are very favorite with the bakso. Yeah, we call bakso, this meatball. So the bakso or meatball, normally they green, yeah, they do grinding in the public market, and we don't know whether, because especially in Bogor, I just want to let you know, in Bogor, in our wet market, in this area for the grinder for pork, and other area for the meat, for the halal meat. Yeah, I mean halal meat is not pork, but we don't know. In the morning, maybe they can across the places. Yeah, so this is very important, and also this is critical process that auditor will check. Yeah, will check during the audit process. Yeah, so this is still a problem for them when they, for example, when they have to, there is no other choice. Yeah, and they have to grain in a market, in the wet market, so it is a problem for them to get the halal certificate. Yeah, and also the working capital as revolving fund. So this is just how they can solve the problem, because normally this is one of their problem regarding the financial constraint. So I think it's better also I ever also make the presentation for the wakaf productive, yeah, to as the revolving fund, yeah, to let them, but it's not to just give them, because if we just give, then they have no what do you call this kind of effort, yeah, but it's as the revolving fund. And also how to make them also success in the production for the MSE, this market access and ecosystem that encourage the growth of the micro small enterprises. Yeah, I mean, in some area, I already saw, for example, like in the what do you call airport, so they already got the place to show their product, but it's still limited. Yeah. Okay, this is I think this all point that make the MSE especially in Indonesia sustainable in halal and safe production for micro small enterprises. I think that's all. Thank you.
Jazakillah khair, Izabina. Alhamdulillah, we have this very significant view on the halal industry, MSME, especially on these micro, small, medium enterprises in Indonesia. And now we have a question, but I'm not sure if it's related to you. But the question is from Sister Fairuz. Let me read for you. I would like to know why Indonesia and Middle Eastern countries uses the word bacon to identify halal beef as beef bacon. If we want the world to transition to halal, why are we not sticking to who we are with our terms and terminology? I've come across many visitors here to Cape Town who eat at establishments, house sell bacon, and since in their mind back home, beef bacon is halal. Unfortunately, here it is pork. In South Africa, a non-Muslim country, we use the name beef Makan. I'm not sure if I pronounce it correctly. So Muslims and non-Muslim halal consumers can with can without a doubt consume the halal certified product. So Miss Alvina, do you have
Yeah.
can
Yeah. Um, this sister or virus sister?
Sister Virus, is that you?
This sister or
Sister. Assalamualaikum
oh,
warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam
wabarakatuh.
warahmatullah. Yeah, okay, Sister Fires. In Indonesia, for the product that already certified by our authority, so they're not allowed to use bacon, hamburger. So they're not allowed to use the name with bacon with ham. So this is clear. Yeah, it is not allowed. Yeah, but we use beef patties. Yeah, like beef burger. Yeah, instead of use bacon or use ham. This is my answer. So no bacon, no ham for the halal certified product. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because
Yeah.
I'd come across when I was in Turkey. I was at a
Mm.
conference and they were speaking about labeling in Indonesia, and it was said that you do have beef bacon, which is halal certified. So I'm just under the thought process of how are we using the words bacon. I mean, I've seen it in the Middle East as well on menus. I've been into a restaurant where I when I got up and walked out because I obviously believe that it's bacon. And they said to me, no, no, it is actually beef, but we just call it bacon. So I'm just thinking, why are we as the Muslim Ummah, sticking to those words, which is, first of all, we shouldn't be connecting ourselves to these type of things. And then, we are still using it to sell our products, which are halal certified. So that was just confusion for me. So I just need to find clarity where that's concerned. Because in South Africa, we don't use the word beef bacon for halal certified products. We use the word macon. So it's spelled Macon, so that we can easily identify and, without a doubt, you can eat peacefully.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it is clear, Sister Fairoz, in Indonesia, we don't use any name that what do you call this? The intention or the similarity with the haram product. Yeah, even though, for
Okay.
example, like we know in Indonesia we have like the bread or the cookies. Yeah, or kind of they use in the flour, they use kind of the rum. Yeah, even though the rum flavor, so our fatwa is not allowed to use in the halal certification product. Yeah, so it is
Okay.
part of the criteria or requirement for the product that that have the halal certificate. So no imitation, no name according to the haram product. This already clear.
Ah,
Yeah.
shukran. Terima kasih for that.
Yeah, sama-sama.
Yeah, thank you, thank you very much, Sister Virus. Yeah, it happens around the world when people get confused about bacon. And in fact, we have here from Sister Amanda, salam, but in Singapore, we use the term bacon for chicken sausage. So
Approximately, before I think Sister Devi answered that question. She's from she was formerly the Singaporean halal certification Sifu. Can I, Rosie Osman here, emphasize even emphasize to Sister Fairuz that as what Sister Alvina has mentioned earlier, the word she mentioned is halal certified. So the word certified. So the product that carries that do not carry the word bacon, ham are certified product. And the reason I'm emphasizing on certified is because in Indonesia and Malaysia, certified products are protected by law.
Mm.
So if they misuse, abuse the word, then we can take legal action, right? But if they are not certified, in Malaysia there is what do you call that? A clause in the Trade Description Act that if you mislead, then action can be taken, right? So, but the word bacon and ham being misused is still debatable. So, but for sure, if they are certified, they cannot use those words because then it's covered by law already. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So, Sister Dewi, I leave you to answer.
Thank you
Yes,
very much, Madam
yeah,
Rosie. Yes, Miss Devi, what do you think?
yeah. I mean, since Singapore was mentioned where I come from, actually, Sister Fairuz, whatever that you ask is will be related to what I'll be talking about with regards to differences in halal standards around the world. So on use of terminologies, really it is dependent very much on cultural norms. So, for example, in the case of Singapore, by and large, the consumers know that, if certain terms may traditionally, like for example, bacon, have a non-halal connotation, but as long as have a halal logo, then they would trust that logo. But having said that, for policymakers such as the Islamic Religious Council of Singapore, what they have done is in instances where products contain words like ham, bacon, or even hamburger for that matter, it has to be prefixed with the type of the meat. So for example, like beef bacon, but it's halal certified, then consumers by and large know that, hey, they can actually consume it. So I think there's no right and wrong. It really depends on the, like what I mentioned, cultural norms within the society. So okay. I won't delve too much into that because I'll be covering some of these later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Devi. I believe that the topic on the global differences on the halal certification will talk more on this. However, we respect that whenever that is regulated by each country should and will be accepted, inshallah. So, Miss Alvina, we have question here. How do you see MSME in the Indonesia halal business in 5 years, 5 years time? Meaning that with all the challenges on the financial, on the technological structure, how do you see this MSME would be in these 5 years, inshallah, 5 years time? Miss Alvina?
Okay. I see that Indonesian halal MSME can spice up the world in the next 5 years, inshallah. I'm pretty sure if the government actively provide the halal infrastructure and ensure the availability of material that meet halal requirement, for them, especially for the micro small enterprises, because as I saw in my presentation, I saw you in my presentation, we are our figure of the enterprises is 99%. This the micro enterprises. So for this reason, to make their level up, so the government's hand need to be there, to provide the halal infrastructure, like for example, like this, for the machine for the for the meat to make meatball in the every this very technical thing in the market, for example, and also how they got the materials. Yeah, they don't need I mean buy the big quantity, but the small quantity with that already fulfill with the halal requirement, with the
Exactly.
information, yeah,
Yes.
on the packaging, so they can maybe they just can scan and then all the information already there, for example. So the traceability also will be exits in the micro enterprises, yeah. So I think as long as the government provide this and also give them the access to sell their product, yeah, and also with the financial constraint, of course. So I'm pretty sure in the next 5 year, our Indonesian halal MSME will spice up the world, yeah.
Yes.
Because also Indonesia have I mean, risk of biodiversity, yeah, in tribes, and also we have very unique product, yeah, and also for the our natural resources like spices. Also, we huge, yeah, in my hometown, for example, in Aceh is like you know, like what do you call in for perfume, I forgot the name. Uh, all the spices come from every part in our specific land. So I think it's very promising, yeah, to make this Indonesian halal MSME
Alhamdulillah, inshallah.
spice up the world, I think.
It sounds very encouraging. Yes,
Yeah.
I also mentioned earlier that it's about regulation and how we enforce that regulation matters. Miss Devi, that because our brother Tatari asked if you can send us references to the law in case of names ham and bacon can be used. Do you think it's available for you to share with him?
Yeah, Brother Mahmud, I'm not too sure whether you are, asking with regards to Singapore or even beyond. In the case of Singapore, on use of terminologies that have non-halal connotation, it is actually stipulated within the MUIS halal certification conditions rather than within the law itself. Yeah. Apart from Singapore, Malaysia, if you want to look at some of these terminologies that actually not allowed, you can look at the Halal Manual by JAKIM. They have a very, very comprehensive listing of these terminologies. Yeah. In Indonesia, I'm not too sure. Ibu Elvina ada nggak yang
Yeah.
terminologi yang nggak boleh pakai itu?
What do you mean exactly?
Iya.
This Miss Avina, because the use of a word ham and bacon similar.
Oh yeah, we have this rule in our fatwa. Yeah. So this is clear in our fatwa. There is no imitation. Even though like for the product, the save of product like pork, for example, yeah, the haram thing is not allowed. So it is all this point are in the fatwa committee. Yeah, and then
Yes, inshallah.
adopted in BPJPH standard. So regarding the product requirements, so they follow this fatwa MUI. Yeah, this already mentioned
Yes.
also in our standard.
Yes. So, Brother Tatari, inshallah, I believe there is an English version. We will share with you later, inshallah.
I think if Indonesia, Brother Tatari already well known, yeah, about this rule.
Yeah, inshallah, for reference purpose, inshallah.